Scholars, we are nearing the actual release of Marathon, and more feedback and criticisms and general thoughts are coming out about Marathon. And it's not all rosy. That's right. And people are livid for multiple reasons. But we're going to focus specifically on Paul Tassi, journalist, a.k.a. Bungie's journalist. Like, can we be honest? Mostly he talks about is Bungie. And at this point, I feel like I could just be a journalist compared to him. But he's been doing a lot of back and forth about, is Marathon good and Marathon bad? Is it bad or good? And it's like, choose a fucking field, dude. And I get he's trying to, report stuff, but it's very specific narration that he's trying to do. Like, should I change my narration? Like, the stuff is good or is it bad? Like, just talk about it without trying to move the needle. But apparently, Bungie journalist Paul Tassi is swinging. That's right, swinging on Skill Up, which I've never actually really watched any Skill Up's videos. I've heard of them. They've been around for quite some time. But apparently, Paul Tassi's choosing to have a fight. Going back to fighting with Skill Up about Division Days, says to say that there's just a lot factually wrong here. Bosses, events, contracts, plus the extremely funny claim that Arc Raiders has better quests. Which, by the way, that's very subjective anyways. But yeah, so we've got someone who actually seems like they do actual reviews and not just Bungie. So they're already more popular than Paul Tassi. So my bet is that Paul Tassi's getting upset for no fucking reason and is just shilling for Bungie. That's my bet. But this is a 15-minute little review, server slam impressions, which I'm working on my brutally honest impressions, which is going to be me actually analyzing everything and giving some very brutally honest feedback, criticisms, and highlights to what was actually good. And that's cooking on its way. I've got the script done. I just need to actually do that. And I'll put that out before release. I also have funny moments, montage from it. There were moments that had fun. And I might as well take that footage and show you those moments, because that's probably going to be the only time you'll ever see me having fun with Marathon, because I'm not going to be playing it. But we're going to react. We're going to see what the drama is, and is Paul Tassi right, or is Skill Up right? All right, Surfshark,
who for years have delivered humanized privacy and security solutions to safeguard your data and privacy online. Virtually travel the world, browse privately by encrypting your internet activity.
I don't know. What is it? I have my VPN built into my my anti-hack stuff. Is that
a few important caveats? Use tools plus get an.
I don't know if is buying VPNs worth it at this point if it's built into your antivirus software. I don't know. Someone who uses VPN like Surfshark, let me know.
Extra 4 months when you sign up using offer code SKILLUP at checkout. More details after the video. All right, look, to set this up, a few important caveats. Number one, and most importantly, this is not a review because the full game is not out yet, so you cannot review it.
And I'm going to make that very clear. This is impressions. When I do my video, it's impressions, not a review.
Server Slam only had a limited amount of the game's final content, and we know the full release will have more shells, more maps, fully unlocked progression, the list goes on. So this is an impressions video based on about 10 to 12 hours of gameplay with the recent Server Slam, and I remain open to the possibility that my feelings on this will completely change at launch, and honestly, I hope they do, because right now I'm not feeling great. A second caveat is that this is just my opinion, and that caveat is particularly important when it comes to Marathon, because I can tell you right now that there are people who are feeling this. The game has shot up to become the second highest selling game on Steam right after Resident Evil Requiem. The game's subreddit is super happy with the game. Many of the previews are very positive.
It's funny. The subreddit apparently has actually become feral because apparently they're nuking any negativity. I've been seeing some crazy stuff. So apparently the subreddit is very fucking feral. So who would have thought? It's Reddit.
across social media, you won't struggle to find positive sentiment towards Marathon. So please do not take this video as me saying Marathon is bad, because I don't think that. I do think it has some problems, but my strongest feelings toward it aren't frustrations with things that aren't working. It's more ambivalence towards the things that are. I've played Marathon on a couple of occasions now, one time at Bungie HQ, again during an alpha test, and now again during this recent server slam. I've seen plenty of commentary from people being like, oh, I played it before and it wasn't good, but now in this latest build, they changed heaps of stuff and it's way better. And I just don't really agree with that. I think...
Go figure. And as someone who's played the alpha, I agree. They did not change heaps and bounds of things. They may have changed like the TTK, which is probably going to be the highlight and the biggest discussion, to be honest, because people are wanting it to be rolled back, whereas the mainstay, like the most competitive, love that. I'm going to be honest. I think the TTK is fine. This is not a casual game. I think the issue for me is how egregious health and shielding is in general, outside of general TTK, against like PvE. I think the PvE aspect is a little overtuned, but I think the general PvP itself felt pretty good.
It's still the same game as it was before. I think it's more polished and it looks better, and the full suite of weapons and items.
I'm pausing a lot, but I just to make it very clear, people are going to say like, oh, they did not drastically change anything. From the alpha to this, they just polished it. People thought they were going to, like, they added procs and they added solo, which anyone who's played solo can tell you that it wasn't balanced at all. They just literally just changed it to where it's solos. That's it. That's all they did.
Has broadened the moment-to-moment gameplay experience, but as I played it in the past, I kept thinking to myself that Marathon was missing a hook. It was missing a thing to make it really stand out from other extraction shooters, from other competitive experiences. It was missing a thing to make it really stand out as a video game. I don't think Bungie has found that thing yet.
Nope.
From my experience playing this, Marathon is a very competently made, very competitive team shooter set on medium-sized maps, and that's about it. Scanning some of the feedback,
it's fine. Everyone thinks that if you say it's fine, it's bad. And maybe to Sony, that's true. But from a gamer level, fine doesn't always mean it's bad. And it's going to have its niche community, which I think if you love Marathon, you don't give a fuck. It's just content creators in the cult of Bungie that care. But everyday Joes that just want to play a game, they don't give a fuck whether it's a niche community. I mean, Tarkov is considered a niche community, and it's been going on for years, and especially in early access.
Back across social media, it's clear to me that for a number of people, Marathon's focus on being a competitive team shooter is enough. And I would say this, I don't think you can call Marathon generic in the sense that there isn't anything doing what it's doing, at least not quite in the way that it's doing it. Marathon has this unique visual style. It has an aura about it that is distinctive. It has excellent gunplay. It has hero abilities. It has a very granular gearing system that allows you to build towards certain playstyles. It has roaming squads of PvE enemies that will completely truck you if you don't respect them. Taken in aggregate, all of this delivers a very punishing, demanding, challenging, and competitive experience that's ultimately very rewarding if you internalize this challenge and become invested in all of the tiny ways that you can become more powerful and more effective. So I might look at all the work that goes into creating a properly synergized build and think to myself, what's the point if I'm going to lose all that the next time I get sniped across the map? While someone else is going to look at all that work and effort and think to themselves, man, all this gear is going to make it so easy for me to snipe fools from across the map. So have I kind of...
The thermoscope is so broken.
Contradicted myself there? Isn't this stuff I'm describing the hook? I mean,
no,
maybe it
really.
is, but I think that sort of stuff really only buys you an audience of a certain size, and I don't think Bungie is a studio that is looking to make games for an audience of that size. Certainly Sony did not pay $3.8 billion.
And that's the point. When you're talking about gamers, they don't care. They're okay with a niche. Hell, Destiny has slowly become a niche, and most of the most dedicated people, they see it and they're often pissed off about people talking about the downward trend. But if it maintained a niche, stable community, they wouldn't give a fuck, right? The bottom dollar is that Sony does. Bungie does. They absolutely care, which is why they immediately flip-flop, made changes, because they knew if they didn't, they would not have the bigger audience that they are probably chasing for. And when you think of player numbers, the people that care about player numbers the most are the greedy corporations.
For this studio to make games for an audience of that size. Bungie is a big legacy studio based in Seattle. They're looking to make games that sell tens of millions of copies, and that's where the hook comes in. It's the thing that tricks people like me into checking something out and or sticking with it. And obviously, our thoughts naturally drift to something like Arc Raiders. Talk about a game with a hook, or hooks plural, the incredible Arc enemies, which were always so fun to fight because of their animations and their weak spots, the engaging quest structure, the distinctiveness of each map and each landmark, such that you truly felt like you were picking through the ruins of an ended world, the organic way that the game fostered communication.
By the way, he's pretty much explaining in a way, without indirectly saying it, the world of Marathon is just not exciting. And I think environmentally, it is exciting. I think the building and structures are pretty meh. But I also think a little bit about that with Arc Raiders too. Like, I mean, it's just I have to be fair. Like, there's some structures, like it feels like I've seen this building before. It feels like it's just another same copy paste building. So I mean, meh.
And collaboration in a genre where kill on sight was the expectation. These are hooks, and the result is that Arc Raiders sold 14 million copies, and right now on Steam it's still averaging a daily peak concurrent player count of around 250,000 people. In contrast, Marathon was totally free this weekend, and it debuted at 145,000 players on Steam, and then it just trended down after that. It didn't even get a weekend bump. And look, I don't want to make this a straight comparison to Arc Raiders, so let's talk about another comparison, Hunt Showdown. Now, Hunt Showdown has a similarly brutal level of difficulty and a really low time to kill and a tremendous learning curve, but that...
I don't know. I've never played Hunt Showdown. I don't know if this is a fair comparison, because it feels like even though it's an extraction shooter, it feels like it's a completely different kind of extraction shooter. Like, I feel like we should be looking at, like, isn't there like Delta Force? And then there's another one. There's another extraction shooter. I feel like you should compare it to those.
Game has some seriously big-ass hooks. Its suite of PvE enemies are an interesting puzzle to solve and require you to fight each of them in very specific ways. Its streamlined approach to progression and power make it very simple to understand, so you can focus on playing rather than inventory management. Most importantly, its extraction structure is very objective-based. There is a boss to kill. It is not easy to kill. You then need to banish the boss, which lets the whole server know where you are, and it's fucking intense. It's like a siege, like barbarians at the gates kind of shit. And then when you're done, you got to haul ass across the map to extract the bounty, hoping that no one is waiting for you when you get there. It actually feels like a very PvE game loop that just happens to have a PvP element, and it's just brilliant. It
sounds like Gambit from Destiny, without the like invasion. Like, you're just invading the world, and you're like, they're playing PvE, and you're just there to fuck them up.
Really is. In contrast, I remember being on the map in Marathon, and we just wiped the team, and I'd collected their loot, and I remember thinking to myself, what could I do next that's fun? And the answer was like, kind of nothing.
Yeah.
There weren't formidable PvE enemies I could fight who would drop me
okay, well, hold on.
Guaranteed valuable components. There weren't boss enemies that
Wait, what?
I could fight. There weren't any activatable events that would reward me with great loot. None of my squad mates had any quests that they needed doing. I never...
Okay, let me give some fair, maybe that is what he's talking about, Paul Tassi. I mean, there is a public event. It's the Lockdown, which is essentially like Firefight from Halo, and it does give you better loot. There is also high-value targets, like commanders, that are beefy, and as the rounds progress, things get beefier and drop. So there is, but if he is comparing to Arc Raiders and the giant, big-ass mechs, yes, Marathon does not have that kind of hook. The fourth map is supposed to have a compiler, and I'm sorry, compared to the big ass giant, war machines, not as cool, not as exciting. But here's the thing: one is specifically intended more for PvE, where the other is meant to engage with PvP in the most competitive sense. And so that the better comparison is more like Tarkov Marathon, and Tarkov has like commander bosses like Marathon. They don't have a compiler like a big baddie like that, but they do have commander bosses that are tanky and dangerous and will fuck you up and also give you good loot. So when you compare Marathon to Tarkov, which is just as difficult, if not more depending on what systems you're looking at. I think that's more of a fair comparison. Arc Raiders will probably always have the more cooler PvE aspect than Marathon, unfortunately, because it's more focused on the PvE aspect. Even though Marathon technically is more PvE, like more people are dying to the USC, like it's happened quite a bit. I'm just being honest. It does sometimes feel more PvE focused, but overall, I don't think that's the intent.
Counted other players using proximity chat, so it's not like I could team up with someone else and help them out with something. I don't know that there's any specific rhyme or reason to loot locations, so it's not like I can head to a specific building in pursuit of a specific component, and besides that, there's no crafting in this game anyway, and my ability to buy or trade things is all determined by faction rep.
That is true. Like, you're just trading, you're just ranking up your rep and you can just buy shit.
Wanted to leave at that point, but the team I was with clearly didn't, and they were just kind of hanging around the extract zone, refusing to move into the circle.
Yep, been there.
And that's when it dawned on me that they were just happy to extract camp. Because at that point, that's all there was to do, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We killed another solo player.
I think, here's the thing. People who are not used to extractions, it will take time, map knowledge. Once you know where people are going to be, that's where the PvP will be. Now, I do think even when engaging, trying to find PvP, they might want to increase the rate of teams spawning in, which they did with the beginner map, perimeter beginner. But I do feel like it wouldn't be too bad to have a little bit more action in the PvP side of things. But you can find it if you want it. It's just, it feels like, and as someone who's played Tarkov, you could go an entire match and never see a person because of how big the fucking maps are. Marathon is a lot smaller compared to maps in Tarkov, which, I mean, depends on when you were looking at your value. $40, you might want bigger maps, or you like the smaller maps and the fact that it's easier to find some PvP. I don't know. It's up to you. It's a value determination based on the person who is the consumer.
Trying to extract, we took his loot, and then we went back to orbit.
By the way, we call extract camping ratting. You're being a rat. I've done it.
Now, look, there is counterpoints to all of what I said. Like, yeah, there are quests that you can do, and I'm sure some people are using prox chat, and I know that there are some activatable loot events, like one that involves calling down a chest from outer space or whatever.
Yep.
I think one time I saw an icon on a map that looked like it was a high-level boss enemy, but that was literally once in like 12 hours of play. Maybe there is...
Okay, so he is calling out certain things. So I don't know if me and Paul Tassi watched the same video, because he's very obviously calling out, like, hey, let me, maybe there was something going on. Like, it sounds like he's thinking of it on the go. I don't know.
Some structure to where the loot drops.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know.
Guy. That's the high-value target right there. That big fucking asshole.
But if these things do exist, they certainly weren't surfaced to me as I was playing, and as such, I never felt like Marathon truly wanted me to do anything other than load in and murder as many other people as possible. And for me, that's just not enough, and I suspect it won't be enough for a critical mass of players as well.
It will be enough for people who just want PvP, and for people who want PvE, honestly, just go solo, because it is a challenge, it's difficult, and you might see one or two people. It is so easy in solo to avoid running into a bunch of people, but you can get in a lot of PvE. So, I mean, Marathon does give you a little bit more selection as a solo. It's just not balanced for solo, so there you go.
Now, obviously, there's this other map coming in the full release that's got like raid-like mechanics or some shit, and fair enough, maybe that's amazing, but if that map is so good, and it is the secret sauce that makes Marathon more, if that map is the hook, then I think that in itself is a problem, because you've then got two other maps, which I think are pretty sauce.
Exactly. No one wants to spend $40, and the only hook is one fucking map. Let's say it for the back. No one wants to spend $40 on a game, and the hook is one fucking map.
And this brings us to one of my biggest complaints with Marathon. I really hate Bungie's approach to level design in Marathon. Like, I really don't like it at all. I think it's two things: color and landmark identity. So for the record, I'm actually really into the aesthetic of Marathon. I even like the UI, which a lot of people are shitting on, and I'm not sure why. I think it's broadly fine. But anyway, I think the setting and the faction.
See, Paul Tassi should be loving this guy because he's a UI lover. I don't like it, but I kind of got, unfortunately, like between the alpha, I've just kind of like learned to overlook it. But it is kind of
and this terminal futurism is very appealing, but I think the way that's been translated into the actual game is nowhere near deft enough. I mean, just look at the shell designs, for example. They seem oddly bulbous, and the color texture isn't nearly as sharp as what you see in menus or trailers or whatever. Something was lost from key art to actual in-game character designs. I think something similar could be said of the way color is applied to the world.
And I've seen that, people comparing like the promotional art, the trailers, like, yeah, the characters themselves look very dull. Granted, 99% of the time, you will never see your own player model. You'll see other people's, but outside of that, I just, whatever. I've kind of given up on the look of characters.
The first time you experience it, it looks cool as hell, and that's where I was in previous playtests, but the more time you spend with it and the more of the maps you see, you realize that there's really no variation in the way that this color scheme is being applied. Every landmark looks like it's been hit with Homer's makeup shotgun. Without any variation to the way color is being applied, you kind of stop seeing the color. A bigger issue though is the physical level design. There's such an absence of truly unique, immediately identifiable landmarks. It's all
I think that is a huge thing about Marathon, is that when you play like Tarkov and even like maybe our creators, yeah, but mostly I can speak to Tarkov because I played almost all the maps on Tarkov, even labs. They're very distinct landmarks that really pop out, and I think that's also part of the reason why Marathon people are struggling for PvP is that, you know, by landmarks and like Tarkov, this is the place to go, or this is the building, this is it, this is the sauce. Or you know when you don't have a nice map, like Tarkov doesn't have a fucking map. I mean, they do, but they don't. Like, you go load in, good fucking luck. And you have to find random extracts, and they're not all like just kill a couple dudes, extract, or just extract free. Sometimes you have to have specific keys, you have to do specific things, like you have to pay cash money. Like, it is a different breed, but the map design, I feel like in other extraction shooters is better. Marathon, the map design is just not, that's not where the sauce is.
Man-made structures that are out in the open, completely surrounded by negative space so they can be entered from any angle, and it's boxes and railings and squat buildings and staircases and trucks, and no matter where you are, they all feel the same.
Yeah, it does.
It feels like a bunch of multiplayer maps from an arena shooter stitched together.
That's perfect. You know what it really makes me feel? It feels like this map was designed with a battle royale looter shooter, battle royale, like hero shooter in mind, because a lot of stuff does look almost copy paste. Like, it is very like,
and even that feels generous because
again, Arc Raiders, I feel similar to some of the maps in there too.
Most multiplayer maps in most games have more identity than your average Marathon landmark. And let's forget about Arc Raiders or Hunt Showdown for a second, though those two games both provide a masterclass on distinctive landmark design. You can zoom out and talk about the Battle Royale genre. Think about your favorite landmarks in Fortnite or Apex or Warzone or whatever you're thinking of, it has a hell of a lot more distinct.
Yeah, but those are Battle Royals though. I don't know about this. I don't really agree on comparing different genres. Like, it's better to compare like Tarkov or Delta Force, wherever the hell it's called, like all these other extraction shooters. Like, and Arc Raiders, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of the maps that I didn't play have more distinct, and they do have some landmarks, but I feel like some of the buildings feel like they're just copy paste.
distinctiveness and identity than any of the landmarks Marathon is currently serving up. Setting aside visual or thematic distinctiveness, the physical construction of these landmarks also lacks any variation. Why am I constantly fighting in what feels like a science lab or an office building? Why is it always small rooms and tight corridors? Where's the crashed spaceship, the shuttle hangar, the runway, the satellite array, the train yard, whatever, man. I just need some different layouts that feel truly different to fight in, because right now they all just kind of look and feel the same. I also think the way that you can enter basically all of these landmarks from almost any direction is a big problem, because it makes your approaches into these spaces less tense, because you can be confident that an enemy can't lock down all entry or exit points, and it also makes it super easy for you to get sniped from afar.
It's also super easy to run away. He's right. Like certain buildings, like you can like even in Tarkov, there's certain buildings where you do have multiple exits in the building, but there's certain places where the hallways blocked off and you can't go toward that way, and you can get pinched pretty easily. You can get trapped. Whereas I feel like Tarkov is so easy to rat and run away, like just so easy.
Or get jumped when someone manages a sneaky flank, and that's essentially game over in a game where TTK is this low. It also has to be said that these maps are relatively small, and you're not incentivized to explore them because the loot economy and reward system isn't really set up for that.
True.
In Hunt, you have to explore because you need to find where the boss is. In Arc Raiders, you explore because you need to hunt for valuable crafting materials. In Marathon, you just load in.
Bro, listen, I respect that you play those two games. Where is Tarkov? I need some big dick Tarkov gameplay.
And there's one landmark in front of you where you can do a bit of looting to collect some pretty useless loot, and then you're essentially off to chase a team fight over at the next landmark. Exploration is, I think, a really core part of the extraction loop, and Marathon simply doesn't have that.
I mean, it does, it doesn't. I feel like outside of very specific situations, like most of the loot in most of the areas, regardless on the map, just feels pretty meh and generic and boring. Like 90% of it is fucking low gen bullshit that no one gives a crap about. Whereas if you go to like the highlight spots, or you do the little public events or the public activities to get, like he said, the drop pod, those are the hot spots, or the enemies evolving over time. That's where you get the loot. It feels like most of the map is barren and fucking pointless. Unless you got the cash key cards, in which case that's great. I mean, Tarkov has that too, but there's also those moments where you get a fucking full ass gun. You're like, shit, I just hit jackpot, or I hit a crate or something. I'm like, damn, here it is. Like, but now you've got tier systems like purple, gold, all that. Like they're trying to do Destiny and Marathon, which is fine. You know, that's fine. Tarkov really doesn't have that. They just have weapon parts and attachments. Tarkov's version of like rarity is on the bullet types, because there's good bullet types that do better damage. They do unique things. There's the cheap trash that, you know, you're gonna have to use an entire clip and get lucky, or you use the hot shit and you can destroy armor and helmets and, you know, pop the fuck off. So that's where the switch is. The rarity is in the guns versus Tarkov, where it's in the bullets. That and attachments too, right?
That's why at the beginning of this video, I called this a competitive team shooter, because I think that's a better, more useful way to think about it. Yes, it is an extraction game, but that label is so broad, covering everything from Tarkov to The Division. So setting that label aside, what does it feel like to play Marathon? Well, it has heroes like a hero shooter. It has a really low time to kill like a tactical shooter. It has maps that feel like arena shooter multiplayer maps.
True.
It very often doesn't offer rewarding loot from exploration or fighting PvE enemies. The focus of the game is fighting.
Well, it does if you wait later. It's a high risk, high reward. Like things get harder, you lose more extracts, the chances of running into other teams. So it's high risk, high reward. So he's right and he's wrong in general for like when it comes to the evolution of the map.
Other players, and everything that sits around that is very secondary. That just doesn't get me to the point where I'm into this, and I'm bummed about it because I really wanted to love Marathon. I truly did. This is Bungie's third IP launch since Halo 1, and yes, I know that Marathon predated Halo, but you know what I mean. We had Halo back in 2001, we had Destiny in 2014, and now we've got this in 2026. And while I can see that it's clearly connecting with a number of people, I can also see that it's not connecting with a lot of others.
I would say this is probably the most divisive game I don't see it being coming game of the year. I don't see it being as successful as Arc Raiders. I don't see it being dead on arrival. I don't. I know people want it to be dead on arrival. I don't see it being. I think it's a fine game. It's not a great game. It's not a trash dumpster fire game. But if you feel that way, you think it's a 10 out of 10, good on you. If you think it's a 0 out of 10, good on you. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. But overall, from a company that is known for Halo, used to be known for Halo, because it's no one actually who works there actually did Halo except for like 1 or 2 dudes. Outside of that, Destiny, when you look at Destiny, completely feels more polished than Marathon, in my opinion. And when you think about 6 years of development, this feels to me like an early access game.
And my argument here is not that Marathon should be a fundamentally different game, because I don't think it should be. I think its core loop is compelling enough for people that are chasing this very specific thing. But I think it needed other things around it. Like, there's no crafting system, there's no social space, there's a complete absence of social interaction when playing, there aren't interesting things to do on the map. If there are boss enemies, I've never fought any of them. You've got
you fought the commander bosses, but the big boss is going to be the compiler for one map.
This story that's being delivered through some static cutscenes and codex entries, and maybe that's enough for some, but it was never enough for me back in the Destiny days, and so it's not enough for me here
It's
either.
awful. Anyone who thinks that this is good narrative delivery is fucking stupid. I'm sorry. No one plays extract shooters to read a fucking book. It's dog shit in Destiny. It's dog shit here. No, and especially an extract shooter where the goal is to get in, get out, get in, get out. No one wants to sit and read paragraphs. No one.
So yeah, like I said,
except for the weird few.
I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. Please don't assume on the basis of this video that Marathon is bad, or that the vibes are bad, or that this game is doomed or whatever. There is a lot of positive buzz for Marathon, depending on who you ask, right?
Yep.
This is just me being like, I'm not really into this, because I was hoping for Bungie to make a game that feels like a Bungie game.
Yeah.
A game that straddles the line between casual and hard.
Here's a pill to swallow. Outside of the gunplay, if you did blind test on this game, I don't think anyone would realize this was made by Bungie. That's how you know it doesn't feel like a traditional Bungie game. Outside of the gunplay, which, by the way, the gunplay isn't unique or special. Other games have matched the same or at the par of Bungie gunplay. I wouldn't even say that. I would say even a blind test, even with gunplay, people wouldn't know this was made by Bungie. They wouldn't.
Core that offers a range of experiences rather than just one. A game that looks to move a genre forward rather than just delivering a competent spin on an existing one. As I said at the top, maybe everything I am hoping for is waiting for me in the full game, and I'm really hoping that it is, because right now, I'm just not feeling it. Anyway, that's it from me. I won't be reviewing Marathon at launch, as I'll be headed to GDC, but I do plan to play more of it when I'm back, so do look forward to a full review later in the month. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
I don't know what Paul Tassi is punching the air for. Like, yeah, if we look at the like to dislike, it's almost pretty much a 1 to 10. You know, for every 10 likes, there's one that don't like it. Like, it overwhelmingly, I think most people agree with his review, or his impressions, should I say. I didn't think he was. There was moments where like the big one for me is the evolution of the map, and how, you know, the enemies do get harder and you do get better rewards and then not knowing like the lockdown part of it, like the public activities, which he kind of he didn't say directly, but he did mention that there's like the drop down stuff. But he's not wrong. There's really no hook. There's not. Like, nothing that really is innovative or popping about this game. It's just a fine game with what it is. And if you love it, you love it. If you hate it, you hate it. And if you're like, you're Let's see. Engaging quest structure, Arc Raiders. All right. I mean, some people do like it. Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. That one made me wince too. Arc Raiders at least lets you work on multiple quest objectives at once. every time I died in a run a marathon without completing my objective, I just felt like my time was wasted and it was really frustrating. That is very fair. Sarcasm, revisionist history. Hey, a pass. He can't. Our creator's quest structure. Okay, so a lot of people did not agree on the quest structure. I don't know. I feel like the quest structure, based on what I remember, feels almost exactly the same. Like it was just go do this XYZ, collect items XYZ, like that. But to be honest, Tarkov is kind of the same way. Like I don't know, like anyone who like I between the three, it all feels the same to me. Like you just go do task. Now, whether the difficulty of completing them, that's a different thing. But it just kind of like, I would think the way that I see Marathon is like they're bounties from Destiny. Some of them are so generic and like, just go kill things, do this, touch a map. Like, it feels like they feel like bounties. The quests feel like bounties. Unironically, they also do feel like random fetch quests from Destiny where they want you to do X, Y, and Z. So it's kind of funny, but they took the worst part of Destiny and put it in Marathon. But I think it works for an attraction shooter because you're not really doing full-on quests. You're fetching stuff anyway. So good on Bungie for finding a way to take the shittiest part of Destiny and make it work for Marathon, I guess. Go make me money. Let's keep going. Is everyone upset about the quests? Like, is that the entire chain? Yeah, I feel like the whole chain. I love our race, but I would certainly not call it quest. Damn, everyone's talking about the quest. So that's all the quest is. Like, arc engaging quests. There are boss enemies that drop really great loot, though. Very fair point that he missed, but kind of boggling to think he played the game for 12 hours and still missed them. Shouldn't they significantly? Well, in his clip, he fought a commander, so technically he did fight a high value target. So I don't know. Maybe he just didn't realize that was the boss, which maybe says more because when you fight bosses in Arc Raiders or Tarkov, you fucking know. Doesn't make it enjoyable though. Doesn't care. I've seen so much wrong information in a video from this channel. I don't know. I don't think there was a lot of wrong information. I just don't. I don't think there was that much wrong information. I really don't. His reviews, but he said impressions. Did anyone listen to this guy? Everyone thinks it's a review. It's like, it's very obviously not a review. It's an impressions. If he was a review, he probably would have taken time. Like, I'm not defending this guy, but he literally said impressions. He's giving you impressions of how he felt. Like, what the fuck? You know how toxic the conversation around a game is when Skilly begins a video with preamble about opinions and personal taste. Yes, because as we see from the comment section, people don't even fucking know the difference between a review and impressions. Will say I do think the reason why this game's praise is so loud and apparent is, I think, because of previous labeling of this game being as Concord 2 throughout the discourse, which seems to have caused an adverse effect on people that want to enjoy the game to voice their positive opinions and sentiment to try to counteract the toxic. No, here's the deal. People can have shit on games for years. They've shit on games openly and consoles for years. The people who have an emotional reaction and have to shout from the rooftop, my game is great, are people that aren't confident in their purchase or their product. Like, people play shitty games all the time and they don't give a fuck what people say. So like, that's like I think that's a big thing, is that most people who are average Joes just play games and don't give a fuck what people say on the internet. It's the people who are habitually online or attached to the balls of a $1 billion company, though, or aren't confident in their decision to like something and feel like, oh no, they're convincing me that I may not like this, so I've got to try to counteract that and convince myself and other people it's actually a great game. If it's a great game, it's a fucking great game. To you, enjoy it. I will never understand this weird, I have to defend this game. Like that was cute when in high school when we had console wars. Like Xbox is better than PlayStation. But at this point, most of the people that are in this comment section are probably grown-ass people. What the fuck are you arguing about? If you like it, fucking like it. Like you're not being paid to save this game or to make this game like massively successful. It's really weird. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Game out. Also, the link will be down below to his video.